shit. Have anybody played Tekken 7 Season 4 yet? Probably everybody have done so. I'm asking the wrong question here. Who is liking Season 4? I should rather ask you guys. Because I feel like everybody besides me have played Season 4 already. Have you guys seen the fucking Tekken category on the Twitch? Holy fuck, man. It's the Wild fucking West. It's the literal Wild fucking West. So many people are streaming Tekken 7. Which is why I'm not gonna stream Tekken 7. You guys know me. I'm like a black sheep. I don't blend in. Fuck that. Fuck that. Am I looking forward to playing Season 4 though? Yeah. If I had Season 4. But I don't. I wasted my money on Mortal Kombat Ultimate. Wasted my money on Mortal Kombat Ultimate. I have not really a big difference, not gonna lie. Yeah, see, that was what I was thinking. So I'm not trying to hype up Tekken 7 Season 4. Of course, the people that are only using their channel for Tekken, they don't play anything else. Of course, they're gonna be excited about, you know, Season 4, and I'm obviously very happy for them to finally have some content. Man, speaking of content, man, what the fuck was up with that whole shit of like Bandai Namco, the European Bandai Namco scene giving away fucking early Season 4 access? It's just some like content creators. Man, what? How the fuck did I have to hold down? I probably had to hold down the Y button. What the fuck? Like okay, so just to clarify real quick, talking about that stuff, for me, it's not about Season 4. Okay, so I gotta hold it down to go faster. I didn't know that. For me, it's not about Season 4. It's not really about Tekken at all. I mean, it is, right? Of course it's about Tekken, but it's not about Season 4. It's not about who gets access to the game first or something like that. To me, honest to God, to me, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on that part, but for someone who's been making a lot of content for Tekken myself, I can completely understand why some people were pissed that some people got you know, access to the content before somebody else. And I'm not trying to sit here and say, yeah, fuck Main Man or anything like that. I mean, I'm very happy for Main Man being able to have such a big name to be able to get early access to something that a lot of people is looking forward to. So it's not about shit, I fucked up. So it's not about like Main Man or somebody else getting the shit first. It have nothing to do with that. It have nothing to do with Season 4. But to me, and I'm 100% gonna put my foot down on that. To me, I personally think that when it comes to fighting games, it needs to have a universal release for everybody, because fighting game developers, fighting game companies, they are so reliable. Like they rely so much on the I'm fucking up while I'm talking about this shit. The developers and like these developers for fighting games and all that shit, fighting game companies, they rely so much on the community as a whole. So releasing Season 4 for only a few handful of people, we're talking about like 2 to 3 content creators, is really gonna hurt the whole idea of having the community come together and discover stuff and share it on social medias and all that shit. So like I said, it's not about Season 4. It's not about you being able to bring out content before anybody else and you have the benefit, and therefore you're gonna get a lot more viewers and your fucking monetization on your videos is gonna go up and all that shit. It has nothing to do with that shit. And there's a lot of people that, man, I'm fucking up while I'm talking about this shit. There was just a lot of people that I saw like on Twitter and social media that was being like, oh, these guys are just like, they're just butthurt because they can't bring content to their Twitch channel and YouTube channel, and therefore they can't get the revenue of the relevant new stuff there is in Season 4. It have nothing to do with that at all. There's a reason why that fighting game companies, they rely so heavily on like tournaments, they rely so much on commentators, organizers. Like there's a lot of my friends as well. I How the fuck did I die twice? How did that just happen? Done so much for the community. I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, so have I. But I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not even butthurt for not being able to stream season 4 or anything like that. Like, I don't even have season 4. I didn't even buy it. I didn't even pre-order anything like that. The only thing I give a fuck about when it comes to the season 4 is, does the online shit work? All right, the online shit work. They definitely improved their online stuff. That's great to hear. And Kunimitsu, that's it. That's the only thing I give a fuck about. Does Kunimitsu have her watermelon fucking bikini with her fat teats and the booty cheeks out? Yes, she does. And the daughter as well. Is it, you know, now that we got the daughter in Tekken 7, does she have the bikini? You know, is she rocking the same way like her mother did? Did her mother say to her daughter, hey, if you want Yoshimitsu's attention, if you want the sword, if you want Yoshimitsu to come and find you, put this shit on. And she did. Kunimitsu does have the watermelon bikini in Tekken 7. That's all I care about, so I'm good. I can look at Kunimitsu, I can smack it off, I can bust a nut, and I can use Kunimitsu watermelon bikini as some reference when I'm gonna draw Kunimitsu again. So that's the only thing I care about. Like, I could care less about people people getting to season 4, all that shit before anybody else, because I'm not competitive anymore. I don't really compete in Tekken anymore. I hardly play the fucking game. But I can definitely understand why someone as Spag and Rib and tons of other like big content creators out there go on social media to say this is not really okay. This is just not okay. And even Harada himself went out his way to say this is not okay for you know, the European Tekken Bandai Namco community. What they did is just not okay. So if somebody, if the CEO of fucking Tekken, Harada himself, can say that's bullshit, it must mean that it is bullshit then, you know? But I think it's funny that there's a lot of people that said it's bullshit the moment Harada went out to say it's bullshit. When Spag and Rib and like tons of other people like Fergus said this is just not like, this is not cool. This is not about people getting season 4 or anything like that before anybody else. It's about the community. It's about the community. It's about how fighting games are just supposed to be. There's no company out there when it comes to fighting games that doesn't rely on the community. It doesn't work that way. So most of my friends that have had these like discussion these past hours yesterday are people saying, oh, why don't you just, you know, why do you care? Why don't you just not watch the stream? It has nothing to do with being ahead of the game when it comes to like content. It's just a community thing. Like there's a lot of people in fighting game communities. They get they're really unappreciated. Just like Eric said himself, there's a lot of people in the fighting game community that just really fucking underappreciated. Tekken doesn't really have a tutorial. You have the community out there making tutorials. You have the community doing all this shit where the game itself doesn't even have these options for new players. It's the community coming together, making tutorials, character tutorials, guides. I mean, even like I said, back in Tag 2, I have made a lot of tutorials for King and Armor King, and I've even made like a lot of tutorials of just fundamentals as a whole in Tekken. And some of these like tutorials that I've made are still popular as we speak. Some of them are even on some of the most popular fucking Tekken websites. Tekken Emperor, like I made a tutorial of move and all that shit. That is on the top fucking Tekken websites. Like, so even I have done a lot for the community, and the only people that are really treating me and is appreciated of the stuff that I've done for the Tekken community back in those days are the community. Like, it's always been like that when it comes to fighting games. So like, look at Virtua Fighter. Look at Virtua Fighter. There's so many people that are diehard Virtua Fighter players. They're so dedicated to the game, but nobody gives a shit about the game. I mean, now the game has like the game is gonna have an esport, right? The game is gonna have an esport, but we don't even know how good that esport is gonna be. Imagine actually, look, like, you need to think about this. Virtua Fighter, the people behind Virtua Fighter, they announced an esport for Virtua Fighter before announcing a new Virtua Fighter game. How do you do that? How do you do that? I mean, even back in the day, the Soul Calibur community was really unappreciated. There were so many tutorials and guides for new people that was trying to play Soul Calibur, and the developers, the company Bandai Namco behind Soul Calibur, were just not appreciating the community at all. Now the community is being appreciated. I mean, to a fair degree, the Soul Calibur community is getting appreciated, but I bet my money, I bet my fucking money, the money that I don't have, I'm actually fucking broke, I just fucked up again. I bet the money, if I had money, I would bet my money that you cannot find a YouTube channel that is 100% dedicated to only Soul Calibur. You can't. I 100% guarantee it. I 100% guarantee it. And if you can find a channel that is only dedicated to Soul Calibur, either that channel is dead or nobody gives a shit about it. That's the problem. That's the problem. Content creator, like, I'm not only talking about content creators here, I'm talking about players as well. I'm talking about organizers as well. People that are like spending money on fucking setups and, you know, setting up the lightning, microphone, you know, making sure that people at home can hear what the fuck the commentators have to say through the microphone. I'm talking about like the entire fucking community as a whole is not as much appreciated as it should be. So, and by that, by Bandai Namco giving it to certain content creators, I guess you could look at it and think it's a step forward that Bandai Namco goes out of the way to give early access to some content creators out there for the community. You can look at it and think, it's a step forward. I could definitely, if I have to put myself in somebody else's foot and think that, yeah, I could see that coming. That motherfucker, that piece of shit, I didn't even see him coming. That was bullshit. I actually, yo, I saw the error. I was like, oh my god, I'm finally fucking done. I'm done with this level, and I'm done with my reign. Like, I actually thought this was the perfect place to end my reign. But here we are again, because that little fucking cocksucker came out of fucking nowhere and fucked my shit up. But my point still stands. I mean, is it a step forward? Yeah, you could look at it as a step forward that Bandai Namco goes out of the way to give it to the community, to certain people in the community. But my point is, why not just give it to everyone? I mean, they did that in season 1, they did that in season 2, they did that in season 3. I just think it's kind of, it was the same thing back in 2015 when Tekken 7 was only released in Korea and Japan, or like just in Asia as a whole, on the arcade machines. That was also like, you know, I was like, okay, you know, some people get early access, some people can play, but my god, like, you have to be a fucking idiot to sit there and tell me that the Korean players and the Japanese players did not get a huge advantage of being able to play Tekken 7 for the next 3 years before it was released on, like, for the rest of the world and on console. And it's kind of like the same thing when it comes to certain people getting season 4 released before somebody else. Some pro players getting this the season 4 before some other pro players. And that's a huge advantage to these pro players as well, because they can sit there, they can lap Kunimitsu, they can do all the shit, and they can get ahead of the game. It was the same thing with Filipino Champ. Filipino Champ, he went to, like, I don't even remember where he went, but he got early access to Mario vs. Capcom Infinite. Not that it fucking matters anymore, because Mario vs. Capcom Infinite has always been shit. But the point still stands. From a competitive standpoint, someone as Filipino Champ, he got a huge advantage. He was like one of the only people that was able to play Mario vs. versus Capcom Infinite before anybody else? And how many tournaments didn't he just go home with? How many money didn't he just go home with just because he had like months upon months of advantage? So a lot of people to say, oh, it's not a big a deal that people are getting like early access before other people. It is a huge deal when it comes to fighting games. When it comes to Death Stranding, when it comes to Prince of Persia, when it comes to any other kind of like single player video game, when these content creators get early access before somebody else, it's fine when it comes to single player games, because single player games, when a content creator get early access, it just gives them the chance to promote the game, and by promoting the game, single player game, it's more about promoting it to people to give them the consideration of buying the game. But when it comes to fighting game, it's a whole different thing. Like, knowledge is such a huge advantage, and as I said, I'm not a competitive player anymore. But if I was a competitive player, I mean, when I saw Fergus being frustrated about that shit, and I've known Fergus for as long as I can remember, of course I can see it from his point of view. Of course I can see how frustrated it is for some like tournament players that other people that are also good at the game gets a huge fucking advantage by getting the game a lot earlier than them. Of course, at the end of the day, Season 4 is out and everybody is sitting and lapping up their characters. Everybody is sitting there and doing their thing. But I still think that is not cool. I personally think that it's still not cool at the end of the day. That's just my opinion. And people are gonna agree, people are gonna disagree to it. But honestly, God, I don't give a fuck what you guys think. So that's just my opinion on it. Because like, and I know there's gonna be people like on my YouTube channel that's gonna still be like, you know, it's not the first time that people are getting early access to something. Oh, believe me, trust me, I know. My channel, for those people that don't know, I'm actually talking about, like, I'm speaking from experience here. I've had a lot of fucking fighting games. A lot of fighting game companies actually hit me up and ask me if I want to play like an early access of their fighting game. Meta Revolution, I played that early access. I played a beta mode before anybody else did. I was one of those few handful of people that had early access to Meta Revolution. There's a lot of fighting games that I played early access, and a lot of like other games that I also played early access. I mean, even single player fucking games, companies of like big major AAA games I've even worked together with. Fucking Santa Monica Studio, God of War, I've even worked together with them, you know? And is that fair for other people? Absolutely not. And even when I have like some early access or being able to work together with some of these big companies where other people can't, I still don't think it's fair for those other people. I think that everybody should be able to experience something the same day and be able to discover stuff together in communities. Especially in fighting games. In single players and like story mode games and all that shit, it's a completely different point of view, because like I said, those people that are making content for like single player story games or like early access of fucking Death Stranding or fucking Last of Us 3 early access, those content creators has the benefit of being able to play the game because of whoever they are, but it's also a win for the companies because they're gonna be able to, like, those content creators are gonna be able to advertise those single player games that people are looking forward to. And obviously, when it comes to that point of view as well, there's a lot of people that's gonna say, well, if people don't want to see early access of Death Stranding 2 or Last of Us 3, just don't watch it. That's like the worst fucking argument to ever come up with, in my opinion. The whole thing of like, if you don't like it, if you don't want to see it, just don't watch it. It doesn't change the fact that it's bullshit. It really doesn't, in my opinion. It really doesn't change the fact that regardless of you watching it or you caring about it or not, it still doesn't change the fact that there are people that find it bullshit and there are people that don't like it. And I think it's fair for those people to have that opinion and share that opinion that they do not like it, you know? Someone has, like I said, someone has back, someone has ripped, that's been doing so much for the community for so many years without actually getting just like a decent profit for it, you know? I think it's fair for people like Rip and Spag and other people to say that it's just not fair. I mean, shit, if the CEO of Tekken, Harada himself, can go out of his way and say what the European Bandai Namco did was fucked up, I think it's pretty fair to say that what the fuck I'm talking about does have a point. I'm not saying it because I'm butthurt I didn't get Season 4. I could care less about Season 4 because I'm not a competitive player anymore. But for someone who is a competitive player, I think it's fair for them to at least say, that's not fair. And if you don't like it, if you don't like it, you can just not read their tweets. You can just not follow them on Twitter. You know, you can just not follow their social media if you don't want to hear about it. Just like when people are saying, oh, if you don't want to get spoiled about this season stuff or anything like that, just don't watch it. Okay, well, just don't watch people complain then. Like, it's the same thing. We can go back and forth and all this shit, and it doesn't really make it better or worse. Now that I'm sitting here and thinking about it, man, Mike Ross was right. Mike Ross's read game is so strong. I fucked up again. Mike Ross's read game is so strong that he actually predicted the future. He actually predicted the future. That's crazy. Think about that. I want you guys to think about that for a hot minute. Mike Ross, Gootecks. Have you guys ever heard about Mike Ross and Gootecks? Do you guys remember Excellent Adventures? You guys remember two people that were so invested and loved a fighting game so much that they created an entire show, an online show, because they loved the game so much, to then get fucked up by Capcom. Mike Ross got fucked up by Capcom. Gootecks kind of got fucked. Well, Gootecks didn't really get fucked up by Capcom. He just got fucked up by the game itself, Street Fighter V, because it kind of sucks. But my point still stands. Man, you guys remember those people? Imagine being so dedicated to a game and loving a game so much. I'm dead. I'm actually dead. No, I'm not. Oh. Imagine being so dedicated to a game that it actually fucked you up. That's what actually just happened. Mike Ross was right. Mike Ross was right. He was right all the time. The whole time. Think about that. People investing money, traveling, all this shit, to get fucked up by the you know what really surprises me is that a company that is so heavily reliable, that's not even a word, is so relied on a not on a company but a community. It surprises me that they can fuck up a community that much.